It just happened by mistake. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be discussing about some deeper concepts associated with Ethereum. So, in the last class, we talked a bit about what Ethereum is. We talked about what Ether is and how what smart contracts are. We didn't discuss very much in detail what the smart contracts are or how you execute them, but we have an idea about how and what smart contracts do. So, today we'll talk a bit about Ethereum accounts. So, what happens in Ethereum is there are two types of accounts in Ethereum, which are known as the externally owned accounts and one second. Yes. Yes. So there are two types of accounts in Ethereum's. One is the external or externally owned account, and another account is known as the contract account. So we have two accounts. One is the externally owned account, and another one is the smart contract account. Okay. So when we talk about the Ethereum accounts, what we need to understand is that both of these accounts have the ability to receive Ethereum or receive Ether, hold Ether, and send Ether. That is, this externally owned account and this smart contract account both have the ability to send Ether or hold some Ether or receive some Ether. So what we are saying is, as we have seen in Bitcoin, you have a public address where you can get your BTC from where you can transfer your BTC. Similarly, on Ethereum also, we have an externally owned account which is controlled with the help of private key. And this is the most basic type of account. Like you and me who are not deploying smart contracts on Ethereum, if you want to create an account on Ethereum, we will create an externally owned account. And as we know that in cryptocurrency, each account is associated with a public key and a private key. Similarly, in externally owned accounts, we'll also have some private keys associated with them. So one is the externally owned account that is handled with the help of the private keys. Another account is known as the contract account. Now, contract accounts have some code associated with them. That is, these are accounts that have some code that is present inside of them. Now, every contract that is deployed on Ethereum has its own account. So every smart contract that has ever been executed on Ethereum, that smart contract will be associated with a contract account. Why do we have this contract account is because this contract account may need to hold some Ether value, may need to, like this account may need to have some, say, amount associated with it, which is transferred or received, etc. So every account deployed on Ethereum has its own account. Sorry, every contract has its own account, which also has a unique Ethereum address. Okay. So this externally owned account is the most basic account. This is similar to how we have on Bitcoin. That is, we have a private public key pair, which is associated with the account. Another type of account that Ethereum provides is a contract account. Contract accounts are accounts that are associated with the smart contracts. That is, every smart contract that is deployed on the network that is controlled by the code will have its own contract account. And both of these account types have the ability to receive Ethereum tokens or send Ethereum tokens or hold Ethereum tokens, which are nothing but Ether. Now, there are certain differences between both of these account types. When we take a look at this externally owned account, now externally owned account you can create for free of cost. There is no amount associated. You do not have to pay the Ethereum network for creating this externally owned account. It creates, it costs nothing for creating this account. And you can use this externally owned account to initiate transactions. What kind of transactions? Sending Ether from one account to another. These kind of, or receiving Ether from one person to another. That kind of transactions are can be initiated on this externally owned account. And in these externally owned account, transactions between them can only be of Ether transfer. So what we are saying is we have two types of accounts. We have an externally owned account and we have a smart contract account. We are saying this externally owned account is a most basic type of account that is available with Ethereum, and this account can be created free of cost. That is, there is no amount associated with creating this externally owned account, and externally owned account have an Ethereum address that is controlled by the private key. Now this is same as what we have seen with Bitcoin. You have a private key, and associated with that private key you have a Bitcoin address. Similarly, here also you will have a private key and you will have an associated Ethereum public address. Also, this externally owned account is created free of cost, but this account can only be used for transferring, receiving Ethereums. Okay. Using this account, you cannot deploy smart contracts. You can only initiate transactions, that is spend money or receive money, things like that. So transactions that happen between externally owned accounts can only involve the Ether transfers. Then the second type of account, which is known as the contract account or the smart contract account, you cannot create this account free of cost. Now, creating a smart contract account has a cost associated with it because you are using the network storage. Why it has a cost associated with it? Because if you imagine that you want to develop your application on Ethereum, you have written a smart contract. Now the smart contracts can only be deployed using these contract account. But since your contracts are deployed on the Ethereum blockchain, the nodes on the Ethereum network, the miners are verifying your contract. You're using the bandwidth, the resources of the Ethereum network. Therefore, you cannot create this account, this contract account, free of cost. There will be some cost associated with creating a contract account because you're using the network's resources, network's storage. Now, the most important thing to remember here is that in contract accounts, you cannot simply send transactions. You cannot initiate transactions. You can only send transactions in response to receiving a transaction. So what I'm saying here is that contract accounts do not initiate transactions on their own. They only initiate transactions in response to some trigger. And trigger is that there is some kind of transaction that has happened on your smart contract. And trigger can also happen from your externally owned account. Okay. So a transaction from an externally owned account or an external account to a contract account can trigger code which can execute many different actions such as transferring tokens or even creating a new contract. So what we are trying to say here is that we have two types of account, externally owned account and a contract account. Contract account is not free, but externally owned account is free. Externally owned account can initiate transactions, but your contract account cannot initiate transaction. It can only send transaction in response to receiving a transaction. Okay. Then the what happens exactly on contract accounts is that suppose some condition is triggered. Okay. In response to that condition, your contract executes. And when your contracts executes, it may end up transferring some money if it is like if certain conditions are met, you're transferring money from one account to another. So that sort of transactions occur on your contract account. Okay. So this is your two types of accounts. So externally owned accounts are controlled by private keys and they have no associated code with them. Then we have contract accounts which are controlled by smart contracts and they have a code associated with them. Okay. So to summarize, an externally owned account can send messages to other externally owned account or to other contract accounts by creating and signing transactions using its private key. So let us see what we are trying to say here. So if we come back to this board here, so suppose we have an externally owned account, we have an externally owned account. Okay, we have an externally owned account, and we are saying that when we have an externally owned account, when what externally owned account can do is your externally owned account can send messages to other externally owned accounts, or they can also send messages to contract accounts by creating and signing transactions. So when we talk about messages on Ethereum, what we are saying is we are communicating with different accounts by means of transaction. So suppose we create a transaction. So we created a transaction here. That is an external, we have this externally owned account that created a transaction. So transaction has been initiated by this externally owned account. So your okay. So that is what we are trying to say here. You have an externally owned account. An externally owned account can initiate a transaction. So here you see that it has initiated a transaction, and this externally owned account can initiate a transaction by creating and signing a transaction. So you know that when you sign a transaction, you sign the transaction with your private key. So you create and sign the transaction with your private key. And now what you're doing here is that you can use your this external account to simply transfer value between two accounts. Okay. So here you can send this transaction, maybe transferring some ether, transferring some value. Okay. And value on ether is, it is given us this ether. So you have an externally owned account, and using this externally owned account, you initiate a transaction. And how do you initiate a transaction? You are transferring some ether values. So you sign your transaction with your private key. Now, what is happening is that after signing a transaction using your private key, you are allowed to simply transfer some ether values. But if you are contacting the, say, your smart contract account, so you had an external account, you initiated a transaction, and using that transaction, you are contacting the contract account. Okay. So this transaction is sent to the contract account. And what now can happen is this transaction, which contains a message or it contains some value transfer, that is, you can transfer tokens, you can write to internal storage, you can perform some calculation, you can create new contract. So the thing here is that we are saying that Ethereum is more than just a cryptocurrency. Ethereum is a programmable blockchain. So what you are doing here is you have two types of accounts, externally owned accounts and smart contracts account. And you can initiate transactions either to transfer some money or use some storage or perform some calculation or you can create new contract. So are you getting my point? What I'm trying to say here is that previously when we were talking about Bitcoin, using Bitcoin, you could only transfer some money from one account to another. But here on Ethereum, what happens is you can trade Ether. That is, you can transfer Ether from one account to another. But what you can also do, apart from transferring Ether values from different Ethereum addresses, what you can also do is you can create transactions to use the decentralized applications, use the smart contracts that have been deployed on Ethereum blockchain. So how do you do that? That is also done by initiating transaction. So we are saying an externally owned account can contact with another externally owned account or with a smart contract account. So if we have an externally owned account, if externally owned account contacts another externally owned account, it will always mean some Ether is being transferred. Okay. But if your externally owned account contacts some smart contract account, it means that there can be many other type of transactions that are being performed. That is, you are contacting the smart contract account to execute the smart contract, which will perform, it will either deliver some payment or it will perform some calculation, it will allow you to use some storage, or it will create a new contract as a result of the transaction execution. So EOA, this externally owned account, if it contacts with another externally owned accounts, then it means you are trading in cryptocurrency, that you are transferring Ether from one account to another. However, if you are using your externally owned account and you are contacting a smart contract account, this will mean that you are transacting in something more than just Ether. Okay. So that is what I'm trying to say here, that your externally owned account can contact the contract account and it can activate the contract's account code because of its transaction. So externally owned account creates a transaction, and using that transaction, using the transaction, it can activate the smart contract code. Okay, so it can use the transaction initiated from an externally owned account sent to a contract account, and it can initiate a activate the contract accounts code. And when the contract accounts code has been activated, it will allow you to perform various actions depending upon what that contract is. It could either allow you to transfer some Ether, it could allow you to write to some internal storage, it could allow you to say perform some calculations, create new contacts, etc. So this is the fundamental difference between an externally owned account and a contract account. So externally owned account can send messages to other externally owned accounts, or they can send messages to contract accounts by creating and signing transactions using their private key. And a message or a transaction between two externally owned accounts is simply a value transfer, but a message from an externally owned account to a contract account, that transaction will initiate the contract account's code and it will allow you to perform the intended operation associated with the code. Okay, so this is the two types of accounts present with Ethereum. So this is very important. So I'll repeat once again that you have two types of accounts. You have an externally owned account and a smart contract account. The contacts communicate with each other by messages. And what does the message mean? Message means simply a transaction. So when an externally owned account contacts another externally owned account, it means only that ether is being transferred. There is some value transfer. But if an externally owned account contacts the smart contract accounts with the help of a transaction, then what is happening is this transaction initiated by an externally owned account will activate the smart contract code associated with this contract account. And then, because of the code execution, either of these things can happen. It will allow you to execute some code, it will allow you to perform some calculation, and because of the code execution, it may allow you to create a new contract. Now, another thing that we said or mentioned here was that externally owned account can initiate transactions. Okay, so this is very clear here that if you want to transfer some money, both the parties, that is, if you have somebody, say Alice, and you have another entity, say Bob. So if they want to trade in cryptocurrency, they will both have an externally owned accounts. Okay. Both of them will have externally owned accounts. Alice will also have an externally owned account and Bob will also have it. So it may happen that Alice wants to transfer something to Bob and even Bob may want to transfer something to Alice. Say Alice wants to transfer 2 ether and in return Bob wants to transfer say 4 ether. Okay. So these externally owned accounts can initiate transaction. These accounts can initiate transactions. Okay. These accounts are allowed to initiate transactions. But contract accounts cannot initiate new transactions on their own. Contract accounts can only initiate or fire transaction in response to other transactions that they have received, either from an externally owned account or from some contract account. So let us see what we are saying here. We are saying that if we have an externally owned account are allowed to initiate transactions, but smart contracts allowed accounts are not allowed to do so. They are allowed to create or initiate transaction in response to some transactions that they have received. So here, an externally owned account initiates a transaction that it wants to perform some kind of calculation. The smart contract account receives this transaction, and in response to this transaction, what it will do is it will execute some transaction. So now the smart contract, what it can do is it can execute some transaction in response to the transaction received. How and why is it executing a transaction? Because we know when we are talking about a blockchain, every state change is recorded. So if, say, this transaction involved performing some kind of calculation or transferring some kind of money because it was a legal contract. So now what will happen is once this smart contract code executes, it will initiate a transaction, and the transaction will be that, uh, say for example, you are using this smart contract for digital asset ownership. Okay, we'll take a good example to understand. So there is a person P1 who wanted to buy some digital asset. Previously, this digital asset was owned by some other person. Okay. Now, P1 initiates a transaction from its account. And what kind of transaction does it wants to perform? That is, it wants the digital ownership of some asset. So it will execute the smart contract associated with that digital asset using the smart contract account. Okay. So using the transaction, the code for the smart contract is activated. And what the transaction will do is transaction will say that previously some person P3 was in ownership. Now this digital art or digital some digital asset has been transferred to P1. Now this will be recorded. This entire transaction of transferring of digital asset from P3 to P1 will be recorded in the form of transaction in a block on the Ethereum blockchain. But you are seeing here that the transaction was not initiated by smart contract. It was initiated in response to this transaction of transferring of ownership. So when this contract executes, it creates a transaction which says that, okay, now somebody else is the owner of this digital asset. So this contract account can fire transaction in response to other transactions that it has received from the, in our case, from an externally owned account. Okay. Therefore, any action that occurs on the Ethereum blockchain is always set in motion by transactions that are fired from externally controlled account. So when you're building an Ethereum blockchain, if you have a blockchain built on Ethereum, all the transactions present inside the blockchain, there will be multiple number of transactions. Here also there will be multiple number of transactions that are recorded. There will be transactions that are recorded. All of these transactions that are present, these transactions are initiated by the EOA, externally owned accounts, several externally owned accounts. So the transactions initiated by several externally owned accounts, these transactions go inside the blocks in the blockchain. Because externally owned accounts are capable of initiating transaction. In that transaction may either involve transferring some ether value or some smart code execution. And smart contract execution can be anything. It could be a legal contract, a financial contract, it should be a digital asset ownership, it could be performing some calculation. And these all are initiated in the form of transactions. And these transactions are stored inside the blockchain in the form of blocks. So any action that occurs on the Ethereum blockchain is always initiated by transactions that are fired from externally owned accounts. Okay. So we have several externally owned accounts that are firing transactions which are being stored inside the block. And this here completely is your Ethereum blockchain. Okay. So this is your external account and your contract account. So to summarize, external account involves actually no cost in creation. They initiate transactions, and transactions between external accounts allows only Ether transfer, which you can see when an external account contacts another external account, it only involves Ether transfer. But when an external account contacts a smart contract account, there could be several of these activities that could happen. That is, other blockchains that are deployed on the Ethereum blockchain, that is, decentralized applications that have been deployed on Ethereum, whatever functions they perform, they can be executed using these smart contracts. So this is very important, the difference between the externally owned and your smart contract account. Okay. Then externally owned accounts can initiate transactions, but your contract account cannot initiate a transaction. They can only send transaction in response to some transaction they have received, and it takes a cost. It has some cost associated with it if you want to create a smart contract account. Okay. So this is about your accounts with Ethereum. Now, the question here is, what is the relationship between your Ethereum account, your wallet, and your address? So if we talk about Ethereum wallet could be physical wallets, or it could be software wallets that allows you to interact with your account on the Ethereum network. So there are several types of wallets that there could be. You could have a physical wallet, that is, you could write your Ethereum address on a piece of paper, and this is a very secure way of keeping your crypto offline. Then you have several mobile apps that you can use to access your funds or access your accounts. Then you also have web wallets, or you could also have desktop wallets if you want to manage your funds via Windows or Linux. So there are several ways in which you can access your accounts. You can access your accounts via a hardware wallet. That is, when we're talking about a wallet, there are 4 types of ways in which you can access your wallet. You could have a physical wallet. Okay, physical wallet is writing your address on a piece of paper. Okay. Then there is mobile applications. We have several mobile apps that allow you to have a wallet to access your Ethereum accounts. We also have web browsers. Using web browsers also you can do it, or you also have desktop applications. So these are the 4 ways using which you can access your Ethereum accounts, the 4 types of wallet. That is the physical hardware wallet, the mobile app wallet, the web wallet, and the desktop app wallet. Now, let us talk about wallets, accounts, and addresses. So it is worth understanding the difference between each of these 3 terms. That is, the terms are, we have a wallet, we have an account, we have already seen the 3 types of account, and we have addresses, or rather address. So there are 3 terms here. We have wallet, accounts, and addresses, and we need to see what the difference between the wallet, the account, and the address is. So an Ethereum account is an entity that can send transactions and has a balance. So if you're talking about, say, account, if you're talking about your Ethereum account, you need to have an Ethereum account to initiate transactions. Initiate you can use your account to initiate transactions, okay, and send funds, okay. So what I'm saying here is that your Ethereum account is an entity which is used to initiate send transaction, and it has a balance. Every Ethereum account has an Ethereum address. Like an inbox has an email address, in the same way, an Ethereum account has an Ethereum address. Okay. So you can use the Ethereum address to send funds into the Ethereum account. Are you getting the point? So what I'm saying here is you use an account, Ethereum account, the two types of account that we have seen, external and contract, and both accounts, using accounts you can initiate transactions. It is where your funds are kept. Then we have Ethereum address. We talk about Ethereum address. So if you're talking about Ethereum address is an address associated with Ethereum account. So Ethereum address So Ethereum address is the address of the Ethereum account, or the address associated with the Ethereum account. So if your there is a very good analogy that Ethereum account has an Ethereum address, just like an inbox has an email address. So your Ethereum account can be thought of as your inbox, and your Ethereum address can be thought of as your email ID. So using the email ID, if I have your email ID, then only I can send you email. Similarly, if I have your Ethereum address, only then I can send transactions or send Ether to your Ethereum account. Okay. Is it clear? Any doubt, anyone? Okay. And finally, the last term is wallet. So a wallet is, say, you can say a wallet is a product that lets you manage your Ethereum account. Okay. It is a product that lets you manage your Ethereum account. So what I mean when I say that we have a wallet that lets you manage your Ethereum account is that it provides you with an interface. It allows you to view your account balance. It allows you to send transactions and a lot of other things like amount that is available with you. So you have an account. Your account has an email address, but when you want to access your account, you will have to use a wallet. Accessing and managing your Ethereum account is done with the help of wallet. So once we finish studying about Ethereum, we will also do a demo again to see how Ethereum actually executes. Okay. So I'm saying that you have a wallet for accessing and managing your Ethereum account. So I hope there must be no doubt now regarding what Ethereum wallet is, what an Ethereum account is, and what an Ethereum address is. Account, you know, is of two types: externally owned and contract account. So this is all about how the accounts on Ethereum function. Okay, so now let us talk about the state of the account, that is the account state. Because you are creating transactions, you are transferring money, or you are executing some contract, and whenever you are doing any of these things, the state of the blockchain is changing, because you're using your account to initiate transactions, and those transactions that are initiated will change the state of your Ethereum blockchain. Okay, so when we were talking about the Bitcoin, there were the Bitcoin was using a UTXO model. Okay, that is the unspent transaction output model. So if I have this address has 920 BTC available with it. Okay, and we have another address that is, say, third this BD2BA9B1, this Bitcoin address, and this has 30 BTC. Now what is happening is, what your Bitcoin does is, it does not, say, store the movement of money, it will store the balances only. Now, if, say, this second address BD2BA1, it wants to transfer some amount to this address A3FA1. So what it will do is, it will need to give an assurance that it has, say, 5.5 BTC to give. And how does it do that? It makes use of the previous transactions that tell the receiver that these are the Bitcoins that he had previously received from some other account or some other node. So these are your unspent transaction outputs: 1 BTC, 4 BTC, zero point 0.5 BTC, and together they make up the 5.5 BTC. Okay. Now your next transaction will be, your next transaction actually will be 5.5 has been deducted. So what it will now become is, this 30 BTC will become 25.5, and this 2920 BTC will become 925.5 BTC. So some Bitcoins were transferred from this to this address, and finally the next balances of both these addresses were stored. So it receives 5.5 BTC, so this is present here, and 5.5 BTC is deducted from this, so this is what it becomes, what the balance becomes here. Now when you talk about Ethereum, what actually happens is, if you look at both the type of transactions, the Bitcoin and the Ethereum, here we have a previous state which tells the amount of Ether or the amount of Bitcoin that is available with each Ether address. So if this is a Ethereum public address, this Ethereum public address has 30 Ethers, and this Ethereum public address has, say, 920 Ether. So what the Bitcoin does is, it follows the UTXO model, that is this BTC will make this BTC. But what it does is, here is, the transaction take the form that A3F is receiving some Ether from this address, and the value is 10 Ethereum. So finally, the state that is being stored is 930 Ether for the account that has received 10 Ether, and 10 have been deducted from the account that previously had uh, 10 Ether available with it. So Ethereum uses accounts. So like bank account funds, Ether tokens appear in wallet, and they can be ported to another accounts. Funds are always somewhere, but you need to generate transactions to send funds from one account to another. So Ethereum follows, you can say, Is the screen visible now? Okay. So sorry for the disturbance here. So we'll take a look at this slide again. Firstly, we were talking about Bitcoin. So if you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin has a previous state, a transaction that was initiated, and the next state that happens. So it has a, say, a address which has 920 BTC. Then we have another address that has 30 BTC. So this 30 BTC address is transferring some Bitcoins to the 920 BTC one address. So if you remember, the Bitcoin model uses the unspent transaction output model, where you have to give evidence that you have previously received some Bitcoins if you're trying to transfer some. So here, this address BD2BA wants to transfer 5.5 BTC to this address A3FA. So it uses some unspent transaction outputs of 1 BTC, 4 BTC, zero point 0.5 BTC to make up 5.5 BTC. And it transfers this to the A3FA address. So now this BD2BA has 25.5 BTC, but this A3FA has 925.5 BTC. Okay. So this is how the transaction model of Bitcoin functions. Now, in contrast, if you're talking about Ethereum, here also we have two Ethereum public addresses. One has a value of 30 Ether and the other has a value of 920 Ether. So the Ethereum public address that has a value of 30 Ether, it is trying to transfer 10 Ether to this account. So simply a transaction is noted as the person to whom you're sending, the person who is sending, and the value of Ether that is being sent. So here what you are doing is you are not using the unspent transaction output model. Since you have accounts here and in your accounts the balances are present, that mechanism is used for tracking the amount of funds you have. So here a transaction has been initiated and the next state has been stored on the blockchain, that is the Ethereum blockchain, as the account that received 10 Ether has now a fund value of 930 Ether, and the account that sent some Ether, that 10 Ether, has now the funds of 20 Ether only. Okay, so I think I'll stop here for now. Can you give me one class tomorrow, because you will not be having a class on Thursday, and on Saturday also you have your makeup. Is it possible for you to give me a class tomorrow anytime? Do you have any free slots? So you already have one class from 1:30 till 3:30 for operating system. I don't think so. OS 2 hour class will be happening on the same time only. So if it is not possible, then next class will be conducted on Tuesday now. And in the next class onwards, we'll see how the transaction model of Ethereum works, and we'll see the proof of work mechanism here, the nonce and everything, how payments are made. So if you have any doubts, please do ask. We are just building up on Ethereum blockchain, studying one concept after another. And once we aggregate all these concepts, we'll be able to understand how Ethereum actually works. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can ask right now. Otherwise, you can ask them if in future you have any doubts once we have like understood the entire Ethereum blockchain network.